Nobody believes me.
Alright, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is a little bit of, it's a little controversial, I guess, because my dad said, I talked to my dad and my dad said, you're going to give away my sausage recipe? So I told my dad, I said, you never even gave me your sausage recipe. My dad, every 3 times a week, made his own sausage. He still does to this day. He's the only one who knows the seasoning blend, and he won't tell me. You know, it's gonna die with him. This is the way I prefer to have sausage. So you're getting my recipe. And actually, I couldn't find anise seeds. I prefer to use anise seeds because I like the flavor of those better. But fennel seeds is what you'll classically find in Italian sausage. Again, there are a lot of purveyors around that make very good Italian sausage, including like Price Chopper or Hannaford, the bulk sausage they have, and even the stuffed sausage, the Sindoni and all that, and those are very good products. This is one of those things where I like to control what goes in just because I can tweak it. And if you look through the recipe, you'll see there's anise, there's fresh garlic, which isn't in a lot of sausage. That's kind of an unorthodox kind of thing. There are sausages that have it, but in a typical Italian sausage, you don't usually find that. I use 2 types of pepper. I'm using red pepper flake and cayenne pepper. My dad, I know for a fact, doesn't use cayenne pepper. He would regulate the heat of the sausage by adding more or less of the crushed red pepper flake. But for me, the crushed red pepper flake, once you start adding a lot, you start to get a bitterness to it. So I add cayenne, which gives you the heat but doesn't give you the bitterness. Doesn't really add much in the way of flavor. And then just salt and pepper. So the trick, you want to make sure that everything is mixed together before you put it in with your meat. So I have 3 pounds of pork shoulder here, and what I did, I ground it fresh. You could ask the butcher to grind it fresh for you. I have access to a meat grinder at home. Of course I do. What they'll do at the supermarket, I don't really condone it. They'll do it on the fine die. So they'll give you like meat that's ground like hamburger. And for sausage, that's a little bit too fine. So I did this on the coarsest die that I have. So because I want to get a little texture in the sausage. In a perfect world, I would probably let this cure overnight in the refrigerator, but I'm gonna mix it up and then cook it. What that curing overnight will do for you is it'll help everything it'll help the spices hydrate along with the meat, and kind of the salt will draw moisture out of the meat and spices and seasonings into the meat. So all you really do is measure out your spices. You could do it in a bowl. I did it in a plate because it looks kind of cute. You can kind of see everything going in, and you just mix it. And this is kind of like when my dad is making his sausage, he'll have like a little bowl, and he'll look at it, and he'll kind of with his fingers kind of let it flow out of his hand just to make sure it's the right consistency. I'm gonna take my ring off because I'm gonna mix this by hand. I'm still married. So this is my ground pork, and I'm gonna go directly into a bowl. I don't know. Are you guys able to see that on the TV there?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Okay. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle over the top the seasonings. And you need to add a little bit of water per 3 pounds. It's 1/3 of a cup. So if you were doing like a whole pork shoulder, which is like 6 to 8 pounds, you would probably use like 2/3 of a cup to 3/4 of a cup. So I'm just gonna put the water, and the water is gonna help the spices kind of move through the meat. And to mix, you don't want to use your palms because you have a lot of mass in your palms. You want to use your fingertips because you don't want to warm up the meat too much. It's basically, you want to try to be as delicate as possible. You could actually use the mixer, the KitchenAid mixer with the hook attachment. The problem with doing it that way is that what you'll probably end up doing is overworking the meat. There's kind of a point where the meat is no longer gluey. So I'm just going to go in with my fingertips and kind of just kind of toss it together. And then once it looks like the spices are distributed well, I'm going to mash it together just a little bit, within my fingertips. Definitely not. Like, you don't want to pick it up and kind of smush it with your hand like that. You want to like with your fingertips, just kind of. And it's like Bobby said, it's kind of a feel thing. And what you don't want, you want to make sure that everything's evenly distributed because you don't want to bite into a teaspoon of fennel seeds. It's
Or
good.
red pepper.
Or red pepper. It's good scattered, over the course of the sausage.